The ASIAIR series of mini astro computers certainly generates an easier entry into astrophotography, and it's definitely top of my list for newcomers' recommended equipment. One of the great things about them is the frequent updates to the platform, bringing new features on a regular basis. Today we're talking about version 2.1 for the ASIAIR, which will be released very soon, bringing us another bunch of great updates, and there is some very exciting news if you own a Sony mirrorless camera. So let's dig into the details. Hey everybody, my name's Simon. Welcome to Astroworks, your friendly guide to the world of astronomy, full of hints, tips and tricks on how to get the best out of this amazing hobby. Well, welcome to the show on this not so warm and sunny day here in New Zealand. And today we're talking about ZWO's new software release to the mini astro computer, the ASIAIR. And version 2.1 is definitely going to bring us some exciting updates, which I thought I would cover off in today's video. Now I am going to caveat this video. All of today's video was shot with 2.1 release still in closed beta with the test team. Some features may look slightly different in final production, and it's possible that certain changes may be made to the final cut depending on the outcome of that testing. So do take that into account watching today's video. So regular updates to the ASIAIR are nothing new, and in fact that's one of the things that makes it stand out from other imaging platforms. But 2.1 is going to bring something different, and something that's been requested for some time, and that is Sony Mirrorless Camera Support. Yep, it's finally here, and I'm sure many ASIAIR owners who also have a Sony Mirrorless camera will be chomping at the bit to try it out. So first, let's look at what models are supported at this point in beta testing. Currently supported and tested are the A7, the smaller A7C, the full-frame A7 series models, specifically the A7 III and the A7 IV, the R series cameras, that is the A7 IV-R and the A7 IV-R3. For the S series, the A7S and A7S III are supported, and in the smaller 6000 series, the A6000, 6100, 6400 and the 6600 are all supported. Also on the list is the little APS-C size ZV-E10. Whew! Quite a lot. Now, I've already tested my A7 III and the ZV-E10 successfully, and it's really nice to see these cameras coming to the ASIAIR. There are some specific camera settings required for these Sonys, and I'll cover those off in a video soon in much more details. They're a little bit complex depending on what model you're using. That's really great news for Sony owners in version 2.1, and that'll add a large range of new mirrorless cameras to the ASIAIR supported list. Now, Canon owners might be feeling a little left out after that news, but there is some news here as well. There's a couple of new Canon models being added too, in the form of support for the T8i and the Canon M6 series. Again, I will caveat this, these are still in testing, so do check the final release notes when it's finally published on the app stores. Now let's take a look at what else is coming in version 2.1. First off is some updates to the UI, which is a slightly changed look, and I have to say, having used it in testing these past weeks, I really like the new feel to it. Getting a good looking interface is really important, and it's hard to nail that when trying to keep things looking clean with so much going on. So it's good to see more work going into keeping it sharp and fresh. Sharp-eyed viewers will spot that new look, and it's very comfortable on the eyes in use, and that follows across many of the menu and config screens. Next on the changelog is one that will keep many Schmidt Cassegrain owners happy, and another one that's been a while in coming and will be very much appreciated. Coming hand in hand with release 2.1 is EAF firmware release 336 and a long-awaited change in focuser step range. This has been a regular request from reflector owners who have to move mirrors a long way between visual and imaging modes. With firmware release 336 to the EAF, the step range will be expanded from 0 to a huge 600,000 steps, and that should help a lot of users wanting to use telescopes between modes without the hassle of having to reset the focuser step count each time. Now this will mean that you need to update the EAF firmware to access this, and I've included a handy link above to our how-to guide for EAF firmware updates to remind you how to do that. Release 336 will be available to both ASIAIR and ASCOM users when released alongside the 2.1 release somewhere in mid-February. The remaining changelog items are somewhat minor, but the key highlights are summarised here. A nice touch given the recent interesting comments is the comment database is now auto-updating, meaning that the app will look at the database on a daily basis and check for updates. If it sees a new version, it'll download it to the mobile device and then transfer this to the ASIAIR next time it connects, which is going to be handy for the recent interesting comments for ASIAIR users. The histogram stretch is now using an improved algorithm, or for the end user this likely won't show much of a difference in the image quality on screen. There are some improvements to the inbuilt imaging editing tools for the ASIAIR 62 and 2600 cameras when using these in bin 1 mode. These tools have been optimized for these larger frame cameras and the increased image sizes involved. There have also been some changes in the calculation of estimated runtime required in plan and auto run modes too, and again this has been optimized based on user feedback and some further development around the estimating techniques involved. Another minor change is that devices like cameras, filter wheels, focuses and so on will now auto reconnect in plan and auto run mode should they become disconnected for any reason within the app. The remainder of the changelog items are related to minor bug fixes and smaller updates, and you can read the release notes with the update when it comes out. 2.1 should be out around mid-February after Chinese New Year on completion of final testing. As always, we hope you enjoyed today's video, and do give that like button a thump. And if you want to see more of this kind of material, then we highly recommend you subscribe so that we can notify you of new content as soon as we publish it. Until then, clear skies from New Zealand.